Good medium size, medium.
You want a good piece?
No, this is good. This is good. So Luther's saw. How old is it? How long have you had it?
3-4 years?
Has it ever been sharpened?
Never. Well, I assume it was sharpened before I got it.
Guess on the dovetails. How long have you used it? I mean, you've had it that long. How many dovetails? A lot or a little?
A lot.
A lot by hobbyist standards?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, that was a saw came with I don't know how many workshops that's
True enough.
Passed around and used and not cut. I mean, that was a lot of dovetails.
All right, I'll test it out then. That doesn't need to be sharpened.
You're the one who said it needed to be sharpened.
Where did I say that? So let's just compare. Where's the relatively new one, Jake, that we had? Well, actually, let me borrow one of yours, please. Can I? So this was brand new.
So we went to the last workshop. I go with Rob and I hand him, got all my stuff because he was bringing the stuff with him. I hand him that stuff. He goes, "Oh, Luke, that one needs to be sharpened."
Well, all right. Here's what we'll do. We'll do 5 strokes and see how far we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll try to be very consistent and close, so we're same wood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, there's a difference. Let's do one more just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it needs it. Not bad, but it needs a little bit. So this is a saw sharpening vise that you can find. I don't know if anybody makes them anymore, but you want to hold the teeth very close to the top. Otherwise, it'll vibrate too much. Now, you want a triangular file to do the sharpening. I think this is a 5-inch double extra slim taper file. I'm going to put it in a handle. Mallet right there. I just tap this in a little bit. Actually, I can use my hand. That's good. Now, I had a little piece of wood here that I was going to use as a guide. It must have got swept off the floor.
Right here.
Yep, there it is. All right. So, the little teeth up front are filed at about a negative 30 degrees, almost like that, meaning you'd have the top of the file level with the floor. But I don't even bother sharpening those because the duller they are, the less effort, the better they do their job, believe it or not. The back teeth, the ones that do the cutting, are filed at 0 degrees to be aggressive. And that's the ones that we're going to work on. So when you put that in there, this face needs to be standing plumb. And you're filing 2 teeth at the same time. You're filing the top of one and the face of the other. So it takes 2 passes to sharpen 1 tooth. It's a cutting edge that consists of 2 surfaces. And if you're not sure what you can do, you can actually use have you got your little 2-inch square?
Yes.
Anybody? Sometimes you can just set it in there. Actually, I had some headgear here too. Thank you, Dave. So if you want to, you can take your square and set that in there like so that you have some idea. Actually, I'm going to stick it on the back side. Put it in there like that, okay? Now, I just use my finger so I know where that is, but if you're not sure, you can stick a piece of wood on there like that, and now you can tell if you're tipping. It's easier to keep it level. You can also take a Sharpie, if need be, especially if you're doing this for the first time, and you can take the time to go in there and paint all the teeth. And what that will do is just show you which one has been sharpened and which one hasn't. And sometimes it's easy to lose your spot. And you don't want to go in and sharpen 1 tooth twice because then it's going to change the shape. It'll be a small tooth compared to the bigger ones. So we'll find our first one. So there's my small teeth. There's my first. Some more light on this. There's my first big one. Okay? So the cutting face is standing plumb, And I probably want to push on about what degree is that? Yeah, let's say 5 o'clock. And that's going to put a little bit of pressure down into that gullet. Usually just one stroke. And you're filing so that you're perpendicular. Where was that square? You're holding your file perpendicular to the way the blade is. It's a rip tooth. Now, some people tell you should lift the file up, not drag it back till you get into the next one. But if you do that, unless you've got incredibly good vision, it's very difficult to lift it up and then drop it into the next tooth. So I actually pull it back, feel the file rise over, settle down in the next one. Now, if it's really dull, you may need to take 2 strokes. I'm betting that it's only going to take 1. Feel it drop into the next gullet. And when you're selecting a file, you want a file that has nice sharp corners. If you don't, you're going to end up with waves instead of nice sharp angled teeth. And you've got to make your way all the way to the back. Nothing's going to change until I get there, and then I'll take it out and try this. Now I'm going to take that off because I can tell right here with my finger. Did I already do 1 stroke? Uh-huh. Yeah. I did? Yeah. Okay, so I can step over. Luth, would you grab that headgear for me, please? And I can go in and have a real close look at it. And you're going to hear the result. Even though I don't use this part of the saw, I have to file it so that it stays, the teeth stay at the same height as the rest of the saw. Now when I made one out of wood, I purposely went in and made it shallow here so I could grab hold of that. And my wooden one, sometimes you got to bring clamps in and squeeze it here to make sure it's good and tight. All right, now, first thing I want to do is take a quick peek at this. And you can tell if you've missed any teeth because there'll be a dull spot. Or if you use the marker, there'll be a spot that still has the Sharpie mark. And then you can feel it. So if you just run your fingers back against that, you can feel it bites, which is what you want it to do. Backwards against the tooth, catches your hand. Now you can really tell it's sharp. Watch, let me wrist for a minute. Feel that? Now I should have had you feel it when it was dull, because when it was dull, I probably could have run my thumb over there and not cut me.
Sticky sharp.
Yeah.
Sticky sharp.
And I suspect this will cut with considerable speed. Ahmed, feel? Now, you don't need to sharpen very often. So that saw wasn't in dire need of being sharpened, and you'd had it how long?
3-4 years.
And you would woodwork and cut dovetails more than the average person. So yeah. I tell people 3 to 5 years between sharpenings. The new one. So that's right back. I'll do it again just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's pretty much right where this other one is. Now, the set refers to the fact that each tooth is bent. If this one is bent that way, the next one is bent that way. That produces a wide enough kerf that will prevent the blade from binding. And you can probably sharpen 3 times before you've got to go in and reset the teeth. And that's a little bit complicated because this is a very small tooth, but you use it with a saw set. You go in there and you push the tooth over, and sometimes you have to go back in and stone them to bring it down a little bit, but this will cut nice and fast. Like I said, that's a piece of poplar, so that represents a nice cross between softwoods and the hardwoods that you're likely to use. In fact, I'm going to throw a piece of pine in there real quick and see how much faster that cuts. So there's a piece of northern white pine. Ooh. 1, 2. So you can get down there, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, fast. Needs brakes. Questions about sharpening?
When do you need to joint it?
Well, so jointing refers to the fact that if I were to look down that tooth line, all the teeth should be at the same height. And maybe when you're first starting out and you butcher it, you spend too much pressure on some teeth than the others. But you know what? I would tend to think that, well, that would be something that would be really down the road, if ever.
So jointing is when the teeth
Line, yeah, get them all on the same plane.
So you kind of take a file.
Take a file, lay a regular file flat on there, and run it over until you're touching the tops of all the teeth. And that, like I said, I don't think you'd ever have to do that on a dovetail saw unless you really butchered it in attempting to sharpen. But the best thing to do, you buy a $15 hardware brand and practice on that. That thing cuts with lightning speed. And people sometimes say, why do you want a saw to cut fast? You're cutting a chest of drawers, 24 inches wide, made out of hard maple. And if you've got a saw that's taking 60 to 70 strokes per side, by the time you get to the middle, you're wiped out. And there goes your accuracy. If you get a saw that's going to be able to make that same cut in 5 to 6 strokes, you're going to make it all the way through, still have some energy left, and of course your accuracy will show. That's it. That's how easy it is to sharpen a rip tooth that you find on a dovetail saw. And final comment, at some point you're going to want to catch up, because if you just keep sharpening these, and these ones are going to be sitting higher. So probably every other sharpening you're going to go in and just touch those up, and not a big deal.